Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem, a postmortem of my Blitz game number 493. I have the white pieces and I started off with e4. My opponent goes e6, the French defense. So I play the main line d4, d5, and knight c3. The other choices here, there's knight d2, which is the Tarrasch defense. There's e5, the advance French, and there's taking, the exchange French. So white has some choices here, but this is one of the main moves, just putting a little more pressure on the center, a very logical move. And now knight f6 shores up the center, and it's actually the top choice here, although the win-hour variation is a very interesting second choice and quite a respectable way to play as well. There's also d takes e4, that's the Rubinstein variation. Anyway, knight f6 was played. I push on with e5. There's different ways to play this, I should say. Bishop to g5 is maybe the main move here, pinning the knight. That usually leads to some exchanges. So e5 keeps a little more material on, and I try to build up a big center. But there are drawbacks to it, as we will see. But it's an interesting way to play. So e5, this is known as the Steinitz variation. The knight drops back, and then you play f4, which is important. You need to get this pawn center supported because this the d-pawn is going to be kicked out very quickly. Black immediately plays c5, and so that's going to erase the support of the center, so you needed the f-pawn up to continue to support the e-pawn there. And now knight f3, just continuing to support the center. Now he plays the rare move, c takes d4. Now the top choice is knight c6. But we actually transpose into a position that could have been reached after knight c6, so we'll keep the opening book on. He takes, I take with the knight, and now he plays knight c6, and now you see the main move here, the only move in the database is bishop e3, and that puts us back in a mainline position here with a couple hundred moves played, a couple hundred games played in this position. Now he plays a rare move here, but it's actually a move I've seen before. The top move in this position after that exchange is bishop to c5, putting pressure on the knight and provoking some more exchanges. And just to look at that variation, so bishop c5. We have time to look at the at these variations because this is a short game. Let's see, I play queen d2, and then black castles and white castles queenside. And I just wanted to go this far to show you that castling queenside is actually a main idea in at least this line of the French. I'm not so used to this myself. That's why I'm kind of showing this and emphasizing this. I almost always castle to the king side to put the rook on the f-file and try and get a quick attack over here. So I was feeling a little bit uncomfortable in the game when I castled on the queen side, but it looks like it's one of the main ideas in these variations. Okay, but that's not how the game went. Let's see. After bishop e3, he played the rare move bishop b4. But actually, I have seen this move before because there's a player at the club who plays this move. So I have some idea of what to do with this. I had looked at it previously with a chess engine, and there's a couple different ways to play. You can play a3 immediately, kicking the bishop, and sort of asking for some pawn damage. And you see at first that's the chess engine's top choice. Although if you go down a few moves, the engine starts to not like it so much. So let's put this on. And suppose, now black could just retreat, but suppose black takes to damage my pawn structure, giving up the bishop pair. And then let's see, what can black play here? How about if he just castles? Gets a solid king position here and waits to develop his queen side. Bishop to d3, a very logical developing move. Knight takes d4, he could exchange now, but I think actually more in character with the position is bringing the queen out here, taking a look at the isolated pawn and causing some reaction. It shows castling, and is there a reason why black can't just grab that pawn? Is there a tactic here? Maybe the queen gets trapped there with bishop to d2. No, knight b5. Queen back to a5, and the knight gets into this square. Yeah, if you can get your knight to b5 and then threaten to come into e6, this could be an okay way to play. Let's back up and see where that went wrong, because I looked at this before and it wasn't so impressive. So bishop d3, maybe queen a5 really is not the move there. Another way to play it is queen e7. Okay, let's try that. The idea with queen e7 is you're supporting the e pawn so that you can play f6. Before you move the queen there, this e pawn is hanging because this knight is blocking the bishop. So you need to put a piece here to support that pawn, and now you can threaten to play f6. Let's see, I could castle, and then g6, f5, or f6 are all ways that black could break. I think it still gives quite an advantage to black here, but I'm not sure I entirely believe it. It's one of those things where, well, white has the bishop pair, and black has this bishop which is blocked in at the moment. But in the long run, this bishop becomes active, and these pawns are weaknesses. So you have to play actively, I guess, in the short term to make sure you've got a good position in compensation for those weaknesses. I think last time I looked at it, I decided that instead of a3, I would try this move bishop e2. This also allows black to damage the pawns, but at least I get another piece out, and I'm going for piece activity. Anyway, the other way to play it, which I've played before, is queen to d2, just defending the knight and not allowing any sort of pawn damage. Now he castles, and I went bishop d3. And you see, basically the engine thinks this position is about even. It sort of wavers back and forth, but I guess by playing this way I've sort of given up any kind of opening advantage. But I kick the bishop now. Let's see. Oh, it's his turn. He plays a6. And now I kick the bishop. And the bishop drops back to a5. Maybe, okay, it starts to give a little edge to white after this, so maybe the moves a6 and bishop a5 aren't the most accurate. And then knight to b3. I'm just kicking the bishop again. I'm looking to bring my knight into some other interesting squares here. It's tough to say if that's a good move or not, because I am taking the knight away from the center. It was a good post here, but also the knight can get traded off from that post at any time. Anyway, I wanted to to put an end to this pin here, and get this knight free to move. Okay, so he drops his bishop back to b6, and I play bishop takes, just getting the dark squared bishop off, leaving him with a bad bishop. He plays queen takes. And then I castled queenside. And like I said, I wasn't really familiar with this particular position, and I wasn't sure if castling queenside was the right idea. But it seems like it's okay based on the evidence from other lines and from the evaluation of this game. It seems to be okay. It's a bit funny because his pieces are all over here and he does have an open line. But with the opposite side castling, I also have ideas of pushing my pawns forward quickly. Let's see, I traded off this knight on c5. I didn't want him grabbing this bishop, which I have plans for. So he takes with the queen. And now I put a rook on the e-file. The idea here is to support the e-pawn, and then I'm going to I don't have to put the rook there. I could either push the pawn right away or put the rook on the f-file and then push the pawn. But that's the idea, is to support the e-pawn so that I can push the f-pawn. And now he goes knight d4. That's a good square for his knight. And now I bring my other rook over. Let's see. Yeah, because his knight is now guarding the the f5 square. So, my attention is focused on this side of the board, and that's part of my downfall. Now he plays b5, and he's starting to go after my knight here. And I was thinking, well, I want to stop the pawn from coming forward. But, well, if you've heard me talk in my other videos about blunder checks, this would have been a good moment in which to do a blunder check. So the move I'm thinking about playing is knight a2, and that's a horrible blunder. So what's the problem with knight a2? If you didn't see the other video, or if you just want to refresh your memory. Okay, yeah, my opponent spotted it. I played knight a2, and he plays knight b3 check, taking advantage of the pin on the pawn from the queen, which, if we go back one move, it's sort of easy to miss because there's no pin on the pawn at this moment. I just create the pin, and that creates the opportunity for this fork, which he spots. So I handed him the game on a silver platter with that one, and that's how it ended. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.